Back once again, AD on the radio.
The flitter, it's you and the senorita. Whoop a blowing up the tweeter, cause it's me up in the speaker. Knocking the mama seat top down like a player. And the sound up in your ears, it is the dopest rhyme say. Running game like a cheater, I'm balling like Derek Jeter. Complete on the marathon.
As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Happy Veterans Day. Humongous thank you to anyone who has, past or present, been willing to put on a uniform and put their life on the line to protect our lives and our freedom. And today on Veterans Day, we're actually joined by a real live veteran. We're joined in the studio by Dave Hines, who is, well, he is one of the, give him a quick blasty blast, Dave Hines. What do you do? Say Sunday, 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 and in a world.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. I don't know. In a world.
Oh, my God.
I talk.
So cool.
I make noise.
Yeah.
I play music.
Yes.
I talk. You'll see me or hear me on commercials a lot.
Right. Yes. So Dave Hines, one of America's premier voices, has lowered himself to reading the news on our show today, as he did yesterday, and we're eternally grateful for that. But also eternally grateful for the fact that, well, he has joined us. He's joined us on a Veterans Day, and he happens to be a real live veteran. So we haven't had the benefit of that on the show in the past, and well, I think we'd like to thank you for your service first and foremost.
That's
and
absolutely my pleasure.
And we'd like to talk to you a little bit about your experience and your experience after you got out of the military. Because if there's one thing that we talk about on this show a lot, I suppose, it's how we feel. We feel that there's maybe not the right support in place. And that's putting it lightly. That's climbing down off of the screaming and yelling perch that I climb up onto when we do this sort of thing. We feel like there's not enough support in place for our veterans when they come back. They have scars on the inside and the outside. And look, I've seen both sides of the equation. I've got one friend who's an oil executive, and he was set up in that job by the Army. But I asked him about it. He's like, a little different path. I was an officer, and you kind of get looked after a little bit better when you are. And then I've got friends who's like, oh man, pick him up off the club floor again. He thinks he's in combat, and he's crawling across the dance floor, and he's being eyed up weird, and he's drunk out of his mind. And who's got his keys? And can he get the treatment that he needs? No, he can't. He's tried, and that's not possible. So there's both sides of the equation that we talked about on the show, but we were fortunate enough to have an actual veteran in here today, and we're going to talk about you and your experience and what you've seen both in the Army and out of the Army since you got back.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us and being willing to share your experiences, and thank you so much for your service as well. We'll get to that after we have him read the news. But how's everybody feeling at the moment? Like everyone feeling well?
Feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Feling healthy? Funkhouser, are you still getting over
98%? I guess.
Yeah.
He looks a good solid 92.
Yeah.
So
it is early.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. No, I think this is the most common time of year to get sick. You're more likely to get sick right now than any other time of year. Basically, you should do what I've been doing, which is slather your entire body in Purell because the world is desperately trying to infect you. New study finds that you're more likely to catch a cold during the first 2 weeks of November than any other time of year, which is, of course, right now. Funkhouser, when did you come down with whatever sort of like hacking, wheezing, disgusting, vomitous thing that you've got going on?
It was like a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Well, you are in this, like you are in all things, way ahead of the curve. Good job. This does not mean, trendsetter. Yeah, like you are the hipster of illness.
He was sick before it was cool.
Yeah,
I was sick before everybody else.
He was sick before it was sick to be sick.
Yeah, I've got this particular type of strain of flu. You probably haven't heard of it. Yeah, this doesn't mean we feel great the other 50 weeks out of the year. This study also found that between illnesses, headaches, hangovers, injuries, the average person only feels get this. All right, there's 365 days in the year. How many of those days do you feel like you're 100% healthy? Like where you're like, dun, 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 I'm up, I'm healthy, I'm ready to take on the world. How many days of the year do you feel like you wake up feeling like that?
11.
Mm-hmm.
Funk?
About the same. Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I think it's more of a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the last time I woke up in the morning and didn't think, F this. Like, that's my first thought when I wake up in the morning. Then I see the Puppy Millhouse and I'm all good with it. And that sort of like helps my state of mind immensely. But my first thought tends to be like, F. When I wake up in the morning, it's probably not a good thing to be. But the average person only feels 100% healthy 171 short days out of the year.
So more than 11.
Yes, more than 11. You're way behind on this.
I was trying to be honest. Like, where I feel like this is a perfect day, I feel great.
Well, as an actor, as a voice actor, as a person that pays the bills with one's pipes, do you like freak the hell out when you feel your voice going? Like, you're like, oh man, now I'm going to have to sell blood to make rent because I'm a little coughy or hacky or sneezy.
I'm lucky in that I have one of those voices that they would call, like my agent would call it kind of country fried or whatever. Uh-huh. So the worse that it gets, the more gravelly or anything, usually the better. So in an opposite way, I almost, when I get sick, sometimes I don't want to read for stuff. I rarely lose my voice. I think it's just from talking so much and exercising it, like it doesn't give out completely on me.
Right.
I'm lucky that that's not the way that it fails. What it does is it'll get really gruff and nasty.
Gravitas.
And I don't want to read for stuff like that or audition for things because I'm like, I don't know if I can replicate this in 2 weeks. And they want like, we want the really nasty trucker voice that you had. Like, oh, well, I can't do that. No, it was like, it was all dirty. Like, I don't know. It's funny to watch people on the other side of the glass or listen to them try and imitate what you just did when it's something kind of backwoods hillbilly. That's my favorite thing.
You have 6 chances each weekday to win $1,000 because you don't have a deep, gravelly voice that can make you money hand over fist like Dave does. You should try and win this cash. Listen, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m. on Real Radio FM to win yourself Ass Tons O Cash. If you win the grand prize, that's 50 G's. More info at realradio.fm. Today on the show, on Veterans Day, we are joined by our very own resident veteran, Dave Hines, who also happens to be one of the premier voices of American broadcasting. Give him a taste of what you do, Dave.
In a world.
Again, he lowers himself to reading the news on our little show and talks about his experience as a veteran and the best ways to give back to those who have served our country. Plus, Funkhouser is studying to become the Ken Jennings of the game show Idiot Test.
True.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio.
Every day you're going and working, running that rat race and that pace and that place will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone working day after day. So buddy, I gotta say, there's gotta be a better way. Yeah, and you do what they told you. Company man, feel it, a mindless little.
So Today is a Veterans Day, and today's a Veterans Day, and we are fortunate enough to not only be blessed by the presence of one of America's premier voices, Dave Hines, in the studio today, hanging out, guest reading the news and whatnot. But Dave also happens to be a veteran, and we're going to talk a little bit about his experience as a veteran and what he made of his time in the Army and what he made of his time after the fact and what he makes of the state of the Union here in 2015 with regard to being a member of our military. But first and foremost, if you are a veteran or if you are currently active military duty, thank you so much for doing what you do and being willing to put your life on the line to protect our lives and protect our freedoms. I also figured we could play a Veterans Day game of true or false. Is that good?
Yes, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Chuck Norris, true or false, was a veteran. Don't give away the answer. We'll do it after the news. But, that'll be the tease. Chuck Norris, veteran, true or false? No fair looking on Google before we play the game. Okay. All right. That said, let's get into the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair. Certainly not balanced. Dave Hines.
Did you bring your bugle today?
I didn't bring the bugle today. That's a ceremonial thing.
Not only a veteran, but also a musician, and found a way to combine the two.
Yes. So are we going to news? Are we doing this?
Yeah, let's do some news.
Okay, because this, after Donald Trump did Saturday Night Live, NBC now has to give the candidates equal time, which is interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Because they're not as easy to make fun of.
Well, I mean, equal time, like NBC has to give them equal time. I wonder, you can't hold them up to... Now, when they do this, like equal ratings, equal time slot, like SNL is probably one of the most watched things on television still, 40 years in. But do they qualify it, or can they just, as long as they get the same hour or whatever it is that Donald Trump got of screen time?
I want to see Mike Huckabee do SNL. That would be awesome. Yeah.
I think, too, though, that's the law that they're talking about, the equal time or rule or doctrine or whatever, I don't think it's talking about that, really. It's basically to try and keep the media from playing up one person too much, but I don't know.
But it's just like if you are bound to give equal airtime to a candidate, like, do they specify? Like, you got to be on a show with similar ratings to SNL, a similar time slot to SNL? I don't know.
I don't know, though.
You could
Interesting.
You could offer Ben Carson a spot on Truth Be Told.
Ooh. I see what you did there.
Chris Christie, obvious contestant on The Biggest Loser. I feel bad for Christie because he had this, tough East Coast, put up with no guff. I went through 9/11 thing. I'm not mired down in political correctness type of stance. And he's just been completely obliterated by Trump entering the race. That was Chris Christie's positioning. And Trump just out-Trumped him, Trumped all over him. And it's just yeah, he took a Trump on him. Too bad, so sad. I'm sorry. Go on. What else is happening in the world?
Okay, so Justin Bieber says that he didn't think his nude photos were all that bad after he saw them.
Yeah. After he saw them blown up and hanging on the walls in Anderson Cooper's living room. Did you see the naked Bieber? Did you see Justin's little Bieber?
Do I look like the kind of person that would have seen that?
Unavoidable. I
honestly did not know about this.
Oh, really?
I feel successful because of that, too.
Well done. Well done. You're doing things in your life more correct than Funkhouser and I. Yeah, no, Justin Bieber went on vacation and I don't know, some tropical paradise type place where you get your own personal hut that backs up onto the ocean or something like that. And he was like, "Hey, I'm on vacation. I'm going to walk around naked." That wouldn't somehow, be captured by the paparazzi that trail you on a regular basis. And then he had the nerve to act all incensed about it. He's like, "This is an invasion of my privacy." But then he went on Ellen and he was like, "Oh, it's not that bad." He said his manager called him up and he was like, "I've got bad news for you. Your penis is on the internet." So
bad news?
Yeah, I don't.
Not good news. No,
not good news.
No. So Woody Harrelson showed up to a Hunger Games premiere.
Sorry, I was trying to squeegee something out of my mind's eye.
Yeah.
Ugh. Go on.
So Woody Harrelson showed up to a Hunger Games premiere. This is awesome. In pajamas and socks.
Yeah.
Just rolling.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up?
Woody Harrelson, who lives in Hawaii and smokes pot. That's what he does. That's pretty much all he does when he's not working.
What a great job.
Yeah. Showed up to a Hunger Games premiere in PJs and socks. And marijuana advocates have been making such great progress over the last couple of years. Just have it trampled all over by Woody Harrelson. It's not the. Do you know who they should have speaking for marijuana advocacy? Me. Don't smoke the stuff. Not interested in smoking the stuff. Think it's crazy that it's not legalized. Hey, wait. You're in California, right, Dave? This might put you in an uncomfortable position, but who cares? You're only a veteran that defended our country. I'm going to have some fun at your expense. Prescription card?
Do I have one?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I had my left foot rebuilt eventually from just years of abusing it, I talk dirty to my foot. No, seriously, foot injuries and all things. So, I've got that. It's good. I'm glad for it.
They know my order at the restaurant across the street. That's why when I shuffle in. Real Radio 104.1.
Like most kids from a privileged white upper-middle-class suburban background, for a significant portion of his childhood, he was pretty convinced he was down. AD on the radio.
Yeah, oh, let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Oh, let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah. You've been talking about me for a
So,
time.
we are fortunate enough to be joined this Veterans Day by a real-life veteran. One of America's great broadcast voices, Dave Hines, has lowered himself to reading the news on our little show. And, we started reading the news a little while ago, Dave Hines, but customarily I ask Funkhouser how he's doing, and he gives me a little funk update. And I don't know if I extended that courtesy to you on Veterans Day. So how you doing? How's everything going before we jump back into the news?
I'm all right, and definitely a shout-out to the vets out there. I got dumped last night. I wasn't really in a relationship with this girl, so
I
got cut loose.
On Veterans Day? On Veterans Day, she dumped a veteran. That's the exact opposite of what John F. Kennedy wanted us to do when he said live by your actions. And oh my gosh, did she give you a reason?
I think we're just not jiving. She's a yogi, and maybe I'm just not quite namaste enough. I guess
she does yoga.
Yeah, she's all into that. So maybe I'm just too gritty. That's
did you attend yoga class with her?
I did not because this is how seriously she takes yoga.
She's a yogi, and you're more like a smoky.
No, she is so into yoga that she felt that it would be too personal for me to take her class.
Ooh.
Oh, so she's like not just a yoga.
She doesn't just do it. She
doesn't just. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A little too personal. Yeah. Gosh.
I mean, but it is, in California, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a yoga instructor.
Right.
Trust me, I've tried.
And there's a class for swinging a dead cat.
And boy, man, people get mad swinging dead cats around.
Cats in yoga classes. Yeah. It's just like,
it really stinks in there when you bring it.
Funkhouser, does Canadian Jane do yoga?
Yeah. I did this weekend. I still hurt.
Oh, you went to a yoga class with her?
I did TRX, yeah. Yeah, buddy.
Did you do the most intense form of yoga?
Brought my own water bottle. Oh.
Yeah.
See, and I think every single guy has the same sort of like idiot brain idea, unless they go to yoga already. Mm-hmm. Every single guy has this complete fallacy of an idea about it. Be like, sure, I'll go to your yoga class. I'll downward face your dog any day, baby. And you just like, you think, what part of this is not a win? You get to see not only her, but everybody in yoga pants. And unless you happen to be unfortunately positioned behind another dude, and you get a.
You just need to pick better spots if that's what happens to you.
Yeah.
Get out of there. Find a window or something.
Yeah, and hopefully he didn't wear. Have you seen guys in yoga pants?
I
think that's a yes. Honestly, the grumbling.
The collective ew means we all have. Yeah, no one wants to do downward face.
Dude, some things you can't unsee.
Next message.
Yeah, nobody wants to do their downward facing dog and be 4 inches away from another man's tackleberries. That's not a good look. But I think every guy thinks like, oh, I'm totally gonna go. It'll be awesome. I will downward face the hell out of her dog, and it'll be all good. And then you end up this sweaty, red faced, painful mess, and it's not a good look. It's not your most masculine foot forward, because like there's a good chance that this girl that you're trying to impress has been doing yoga for a lot longer than the 5 minutes you have, and that stuff will kick your ass. There's no two ways about it. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
I heard
very strong.
So like this girl didn't allow you to attend her class, huh?
No, it was like it wasn't really that way, but like something happened. I'll be honest with you. The other night, I yelled about 5 words at a hipster who shot us a dirty look when he walked out in front of the car
Racist.
And he wasn't supposed to. And he shot us a dirty look, and I'm like, oh, come on. And not even yelling at him, didn't roll down the window or anything. And she's like, I just don't know about this rage.
Oh,
Oh, no.
I'm like, oh, come on. Like, I am not a rageful person. And I was like, of all the things that you could get mad at me about for being terrible, you know, all the bad things about me, like any woman that you'd ask, they'd be like, no, he's very chill. He's very calm. He's not that rageful person. So to get dumped basically over something that's, you know, I didn't even get dumped over one of my many flaws. I got dumped over one that wasn't a real one, and that sucks.
Right. Oh, man, that's hard. Like, if a girl tried to take away my behind the wheel road rage, I don't know how I would function in life. Because honestly, that's how I get it all out before I get into the workplace. You know, like I just like every single second that I'm behind the wheel during my 9-minute commute, I'm just like, yes. Where'd you get your license? A Cracker Jack box? You deserve to die, you waste of skin and air and everything that is good. Why? Why do you have to be the one in front of me? I hope you return home to find your children dead in a house fire. And that way, I can sort of like act a little bit more cool, calm, and collected when I walk through the doors of the workplace, and I don't roll down the windows. I don't do anything. I don't scream this at people. But it's a great way of therapeutically letting it all out as I am on my way to the workplace, so I can act like the cool, calm, collected human being that I'm not when I get through the door and tackle another day in middle management in corporate America. And let me tell you, if there's something that's going to test you, if there's something that's going to test your restraint, it's that. And so I kind of feel like it's a public service to be screaming and yelling and ranting and raving behind the wheel of the car. So, yeah, she dumped you because of something that was actually probably quite therapeutically good for you to do. So, good riddance is what I say. And by the way, she might have dumped you on Veterans Day, but guess what you're going to be tonight? What? Single on Veterans Day.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what every vet goes for. We're all like, you know what, man? This year finally going to do Veterans Day single. That's it, man. No more of these quality relationships going on my Veterans Day. I'm going to cut loose.
Yeah.
Most veterans don't talk that way.
Yeah, I didn't think so. All right, let's, having established the fact that he has been dumped on Veterans Day, let's let our resident veteran, Dave Hines, continue with the news. What else is going on in the world?
All right, well, Gwen Stefani says that Blake Shelton actually helped her with her separation. I was over there at The Voice yesterday and the day before.
Were sparks flying?
They hugged. When they came out, they hugged each other. It was it looked like a friendly hug, but everybody gave the woo because it was a TV studio audience. They do that anytime any affection is shown.
Yeah,
but it felt like should I say, lingering hug. Maybe that's just because of your friends.
Felt like a hug between two people that had seen each other naked?
I don't know.
Just wait for them to make it official, and then you can have a chance with Gwen yourself, too.
Gwen Stefani, you're right, yeah, because Gwen Stefani said Blake Shelton helped her with her separation. Didn't clarify if that separation was from her husband, Gavin Rossdale, or her pants, but I think it might have been a little bit of both.
Ooh, yes.
Next message.
Go on.
Taylor Swift says she used to have trouble making friends.
Oh, Tay-Tay, I'll be your friend.
Everybody does.
Well, I think that's a problem she used to have. Not so much a problem in this day and age. Since she realized that cats can be friends too, now she's just fine. I think she takes I think she takes either her cats or cardboard cutouts of her cats on the road with her. I think I don't know.
That's weird.
Do you ever date Hines? Do you ever date a girl who has an Instagram just for her pet, like her cat or her dog?
I wish I could say no.
Yeah,
I wish I could say no.
It's a trend now.
No, it's a thing.
If you have that, ladies, just delete it now. It's not good.
Mrs. Claus has an Instagram.
You know, you can make all the fun you want of Taylor Swift cats, but I guarantee you they eat better than us 3 times a day.
Guaranteed.
So it's a no-no to have a pet with its own Instagram, right?
Unless the pet is awesome. I mean, but your basic cat, your cat that doesn't do anything that great, it's not Little Bubs or anything like that. Like,
I do follow Hamlet the piggy on Instagram, though. I don't know.
See,
why.
I follow all kinds of dogs. There's two things that cheer me up on a regular basis. Like if I'm having a lousy day, there's two things that I like to have plenty of in my news feeds. Not so much on Facebook, but on Twitter and on Instagram. The things that I like to see on a regular basis that can turn the whole frown upside down are dogs and boobs. Like they're just, they're both going to make you smile. So I follow a lot of porny chicks and a lot of those solo sort of like people that have given their animals their own Instagram account. Like I follow a lot of those and they make me smile on a regular basis. So, Milhouse, I brought Milhouse in the other day, and both Milhouse and Homer are somewhat adorable puppies. And it was suggested to me that they should get their own Instagram accounts, and I was like, I'm not that guy.
Who suggested that? Was it a guy or a girl?
Actually, it was a girl in the sales department that I think has many cats, all of which have their own individual Instagram accounts. But like, when it was suggested to me, they're like, he's so popular online because all I got to do is post a picture of the adorable puppy and
like bombs.
Yeah, like bombs. So like really, really, much more than anything I ever do. And they're like, Milhouse should have his own Instagram account. And I was just like, I'm not that guy. But really what I was thinking was like, I'm not having my dog be more popular than me online. As a broadcaster, that doesn't look good on your resume. Like now, sort of like big broadcast companies are looking through your social media and like, we're trying to get your Twitter things up or whatever the case may be. I know they analyze this stuff, and if like the digital boss of iHeartMedia, if he's going through my stuff and being like, the dog has more Instagram followers than the guy, this is a problem. So I don't want my pets to digitally outperform me online, and I know they would in a heartbeat. So yeah, I'm selfishly keeping my pets integrated with my own social media accounts.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying watch out for the girls. Don't date those.
Yeah,
right.
That's the thing. It's more of a thing of the kind of person.
I have to post a picture of my pet. Click.
I don't know, though. I'd rather have a girl constantly posting pictures of her cat than of her food, unless she's a chef.
What about cat food?
I've reached
I'd rather,
there.
Yeah. Well, I always
Next
have like,
message.
Yeah.
All right, are we moving on?
Maybe it's my affection for Betty White, but I've found that there is really great sex to be had in the senior citizen department. So, like, when they're posting pictures of food and it happens to be cat food at the same time because they're on a limited income, you just do the best with what you got in this world is what you do. I would rather date a girl that posts a picture of her pet than of her ass. Like, I can't stand.
Yeah.
It's funny because as much as I like to look at boobs and butts online, like, love it. Yes. Would never want to be with a girl that does that. That or, you know what else I really like? Do you like that whole phenomena of cosplay?
Yeah.
Depends.
Well, not if they wear those. If they wear those, then I'm not into it. Depends.
Like,
that's Golden Girls cosplay.
Yeah, Golden Girls cosplay.
We're playing Golden Girls.
Yeah, wearing Depends, eating cat food sounds like a good Friday night to me. Plays right into my Betty White fantasies. Oh, really? Did you just apply the Icy Hot? All right, then. No, don't wash it off.
Bo Betty.
But yeah, like, as much as I enjoy cosplay chicks and as much as I enjoy boobs and butts, I would never want to be with someone that dresses up. You know what I mean? Like, and it's one thing if you're going to Halloween or something like that, but if you're one of those people like that, I'm cosplaying Elvira. Fantastic. Boobs. Would never date you. But it's just like, it's a weird dichotomy. And it really has nothing to do with anything. So I guess we should continue with the news. What else?
All right. Miley Cyrus.
Hi.
She licked a piano, but then sold it for charity for $50,000. $50,000 for a licked piano.
$50,000 to go toward finding a cure for whatever disease you catch from a piano licked by Miley Cyrus.
First order of business, let's wipe that thing off.
She wants to do this concert with the flaming lips where everyone's naked and everyone gets sprayed with milk. This is her big concept. Besides the part about the nudity, the milk, and Miley Cyrus, it sounds like a good time. Flaming Lips, Flaming Lips put on a good show, yeah. Go on.
The president of the University of Missouri, my home state, president of the University of Missouri system gave in to the demands of 30 black football players yesterday and resigned.
Yeah. Also, giving in to the demands of black football players this week, every single Kardashian. Oh, you
Real 104.1 Radio 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So today in the show, one of America's premier broadcast voices, Dave Hines, is in the studio. He's been guest reading our news, but it is Veterans Day. And not only is he one of the premier broadcast voices in America, he also happens to be a veteran. And we're going to talk to Dave about his experience in the Army and his experience following the Army in just a little bit. Right now, though, Funkhouser, do you have some game show-esque music?
Yeah. Yeah, why? You want some game show-esque music?
Crank it up.
Well, I figured what we would do, we'd play a quick Veterans Day true or false. You can play along at home. We're going to give you a statement. Yeah. We're going to give you a statement.
True or false?
Oh, wow. Do that again, because you actually, that's what you would do. Like, that's one of the many roles that you could fill, a game show announcer.
And now, it's time for Veterans Day True or False with AD.
Fantastic. So we're going to give you a statement. You decide, true or false.
You want to spin the wheel first? Spin the wheel of statements?
Yeah, sure. Spin a wheel.
Go ahead.
That's a well-oiled wheel.
It's a nice wheel of statements there.
It's only the
Slow the wheel.
True or false? Chuck Norris is a veteran.
I'm going to say true on that one.
I'm going to say false.
Ooh.
The answer is true. He was in the Air Force and was first introduced to martial arts while he was stationed in Korea.
I was wrong.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, Chuck Norris owes his very Chuck Norris-ness to being in... Is that a word? Chuck Norris-ness? It is now.
I think
Chuck Norris can...
Chuck Norosity.
His Chuck Norosity is due to his career in the military. He was first introduced to martial arts when he was stationed in Korea. Spin the wheel again, Funkhouser.
Spinning that wheel.
Spin the wheel.
The wheel spins and it lands on this statement.
Veterans Day, true or false? Comedian Sinbad is a former Navy SEAL.
I'm going to say false on that one.
Yeah, he's not a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, you're right. He's not a Navy SEAL. He is a veteran, though. He was in the Air Force in the late 70s and the early 80s. Funkhouser, spin the wheel again.
Whoa! Okay.
It ended quickly that time.
He stopped it with his hand. It was weird looking.
I licked it.
My size style?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. True or false? Actor Paul Newman was a pilot in the Navy.
Ooh, salad dressing. I'd say true.
False.
False. False. He wanted to be a pilot, but he couldn't. Why? Because Paul Newman is colorblind. Yeah. True story. Now, he did serve, though. He ended up becoming a radio operator and a gunner, and he served in the South Pacific during World War II.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a pilot in the Navy in the Second World War.
That's awesome.
Really amazing stories, too. Like, one of the best things that ever happens was, like, part of the radio bug that I got bitten by was due to the fact that back in the day, my uncle was a DJ at 96 WCMF in Rochester, New York.
Oh, yeah, buddies.
And a home of Brother Weeze, I think. I don't know if he's still on there. I don't know if he's still on there, but anyways, that's where my uncle worked. And he went into advertising afterwards, but he did turn his radio skills to a fantastic interview he did with my grandfather, where he talked about everything from his childhood up to the present day at the time. And that included some really in-depth, interesting, literally war stories about getting shot down behind enemy lines and being stuck in Iwo Jima and figuring out how to make your way back, and what it was like to land planes on ships at high speeds, and amazing stuff. One day I'm going to try and figure out the logistics of rebroadcasting it, maybe on a Veterans Day, just because
be so
it's
cool.
Yeah. And it never got rebroadcast. Rebroadcast is not really the right word because it was just for the family. It was one of the best things that anyone ever did. Like,
they recorded it on metallic tape, did they?
Well, I don't know. It's digital now. Like, it's up on. I downloaded it, so I've got the MP3 for all eternity. But it was fantastic. If you guys get a chance to chronicle the history of your family in a radio-esque sort of way, I'm telling you, 20, 30 years later, it's good stuff for people to be able to listen to. It's pretty much the best Christmas gift anyone ever gave anyone. It was fantastic. So, anyways, true or false? Oh, spin the wheel, Funkhouser.
Spin that wheel, get to a statement.
Before he what?
I don't know what it means either.
Boy, times really are hard for the guy from Creed. Before he became a rapper, Ice-T was in the U.S. Army. True or false?
I think that's true.
Funk?
I'm going with true, too.
Yeah. He served 4 years in the 25th Infantry.
The Red Hot Chili Pepper. No, that's 24th. Never mind.
Go on.
Spinning the wheel again.
One more spin.
It's a spinning, and it stops on this one.
Now, this is Bob Ross.
The painter guy?
Yeah, Bob Ross from The Joy of Painting. Yeah. True or false? Used to be a drill sergeant.
Gonna need you guys to do a little push-ups now. Some happy little push-ups.
Try to give me 14.
All right. Come on, maggot. We're gonna need you to do a little bit better than that. There's 64 of you in my dining hall. That means you have 64 seconds to get your asses outside. I'm gonna go with no, he was not a drill sergeant.
Yeah. Funkhouser?
I'm with him. No.
You're both wrong. Before he was on PBS, he served 20 years in the Air Force, and he spent a good chunk of that time as a drill sergeant, as tough as it is to believe.
In my defense, that's how Air Force drill sergeants talk.
Right?
Sorry, it's a veteran joke. Come on, I'm an Army guy. I get to make those now. So
you are an Army guy, and you know what? Let's now turn the spotlight on you and your military service. What'd you do?
Well, my main job, I was in the Army band, so I was really lucky. I was able to pass auditions in the beginning when I was thinking about doing it, and get in and be able to see so many things and be a part of. A lot of stuff that a lot of soldiers don't get to see even. So it was an interesting thing. But you find your job, what you're good at, what you want to be good at, and you're able to go work on it. So some
and we'll get
things.
into I want to talk to you a little bit about how you wound up in the Army, because that's always a fantastic story whenever I get a chance to talk to veterans, and we'll discuss it shortly.
All right.
Directly ahead. Sorry. Coffee belch. Oh, that's dignified to do on Veterans Day. We'll talk about his story of how he joined the Army in just a little bit. Thank you so much for hanging out. Tweet us at FunkFM, at ADSXE. Where can they tweet our resident veteran, Dave Hines? Dave?
At Hines US 97.
Now, someone who everybody wants to punch in the face. AD on the radio.
So we are coming up. We are coming up on the joyous freaking Yuletide season. We are coming up on Black Friday. We are coming up on the most crass example of consumerism in the Western Hemisphere, all 365 days out of the year. And I, for one, plan to stay at home and do the Cyber Monday thing. I'm not going anywhere on Black Friday. I will be avoiding the crowds. But Americans love the mall. Just love it, as evidenced by George Carlin.
That's all you've got here, folks. Mile after mile of mall after mall. Many, many malls. Major malls and mini malls. They put the mini malls in between the major malls. And in between the mini malls, they put the mini marts. America the Beautiful. One big transcontinental commercial cesspool. And how do the people feel about all this? How do the people feel about living in a coast-to-coast shopping mall? Well, they think it's just dandy. They think it is cool as can be because Americans love them all. That's where they get to satisfy their two most prominent addictions, shopping and eating. Millions of semi-conscious Americans day after day shuffling through the malls, shopping and eating, especially eating. Americans love to eat. They are fatally attracted to the slow death of fast food. Hot dogs, corn dogs, triple bacon cheeseburgers, deep fried butter dipped in pork fat and cheese whiz, mayonnaise soaked barbecued mozzarella patty melts. Americans will eat anything. If you were selling sauteed raccoons on a stick, Americans would buy them and eat them, especially if you dipped them in butter and put a little salsa on them.
I've actually had sauteed raccoons business, and not bad. It is also the time of year, because we are in the run-up to the holidays, it is also the time of year known as Veterans Day. And first and foremost, if you are a veteran or if you are currently serving, we'd like to thank you so much for the sacrifice that not only you have made, but your family has made and your loved ones have made so that you may put on a uniform and be willing to lay your life on the line to protect ours and protect our freedoms. Thank you, thank you, thank you 1,000 times. We're also lucky enough to be joined by our own resident veteran, Dave Hines, who, as you were telling us earlier, you were in the Army Band.
I was in the Army Band. So everybody, when you get into the military, you get a job. You're an infantryman, you're a helicopter pilot, you're a cook. And I was able to get into the Army Band system and really got to see a lot of different things, being part of meeting dignitaries and playing for them and, presidents and generals and all that stuff. But then also going out and doing some recruiting functions and things like that, being in parades and stuff. But then getting to hang out with other soldiers, places where they wouldn't maybe send a USO show for whatever reason. We'd be there kind of chilling with those guys. And so I got to do a lot of different things. It was a good experience overall. I did it for 12 years total.
Wow.
So, and a lot of that was spent in the reserves and the National Guard, so where I had another regular job, obviously doing the radio and playing music on my own. But, the reservists are the ones that do the 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer, basically. And then they have civilian jobs also. And I think one of the things that that you want to think about is with veterans, when you think about, reservists or that guy's in the National Guard or whatever, those guys still get deployed, 18 months at a time, a lot of times, not as much now, but these long deployments. And for somebody whose main job, what we'd call regular Army, their main job, they get sent off for 12 months. That's a big deal. But their family lives on the military base. They know that's their job. It's another thing when a guy is a reservist and they're like, hey, by the way, we know that you got that small business with the roofing company, but you're gone for 12 months. That's an even bigger sacrifice that a lot of these reservists and National Guardsmen are making. But I think that outside of the military system, there's been kind of that, oh, well, you're just a reservist. You don't do that. Those guys and those men and women, balance the civilian life on top of that, too, and it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. Now, let me ask you this. Did you know that you were going to be in the Army Band going in, or that worked out after you enlisted?
No, I knew that I was going to be in because they kind of recruited me to do that, so I had to pass auditions before. Also, when I first started out, all of the Army bands, though, also were qualified to be military police, and so I got to go to that school as well. So, you do get a little bit more of the bang, bang, shoot 'em up stuff. But everybody, whether you're in the band, whether you're a cook, whether you're anything, everybody goes through basic training. So you get that. And I did that between my junior and senior year of high school.
Wow, you did basic training? Wow.
The first phase of, my initial entry training, I did the 9 weeks of boot camp that you hear about. Yeah, I did that. So I was a little intense by the time I, showed up for my last year of high school.
I can imagine.
But and then I went on after that and finished up my advanced training and after high school and then went on and did the stuff.
And for those thinking that maybe Army Band is sort of like a less dangerous gig, I'd like to point out, like, Dave doesn't like to talk about it because he doesn't like to sort of, I guess, compare his experience to. He doesn't like to. What's the best way I can describe this?
Let's just say this: there are people who are out there who have seen a lot more than I've seen. They've experienced a lot more, and they know things that I luckily was blessed enough to never have to experience or deal with. And
but that doesn't mean it did like I think some people might get this confused. It doesn't mean like a cush gig where you're not taking your life in your hands when you go to serve your country. You get to you found a magical combination where you get to play music and serve your country, which if you're a musician and you love your country, that's a big deal. It's not really too many situations where you can be like, hey, I'm supporting my country, I'm serving my country, and I'm getting to play music at the same time. That's not part of a job description for too many things, but let's not get it twisted. This is some real deal stuff that you were dealing with on a regular basis.
Exactly. There was a general one time. I can't remember his name now, but he went on to be an astronaut, and I was watching him speak, and he said, "Don't forget, no matter what your MOS is, which is your military occupational specialty, your job." So don't forget, no matter what your MOS is, you're in the Army. Your job is to kill people and break things, and it really hit me, though, of like, that's why we aren't, the military is the sword that the country holds. It's not the country. It's not the representation. So that basically you agree to do this where the country's, the president and whoever, if they say, we need you to go do this, then you go do that. But these aren't, bloodthirsty people. These are regular folks who've just decided, like, I love this country enough that if they need me to do this, I'm going to be ready to go in harm's way.
Now, can you talk a little bit about your experience after you got out of the Army? Because I think one of the things that we discuss on this show on a regular basis is that sometimes it feels as though people that enlist or people that join the Army or people that get recruited are sort of sold a false bill of goods in terms of, hey, we're going to look after you after you get out. We're going to help you matriculate back into society. We're going to set you up with jobs and careers and things of that nature. Yet 1 out of every 3 male homeless people is a veteran. Yet I know plenty of veterans that cannot find work. I know that, look, Funkhouser, let me ask you this. Was Dave on time today for the show?
I was on time.
He was so on time. He's
so
like, I'll see you at 100 hours.
Yeah. No, and you know what? This is what I love about my veteran friends. And I've got like a couple of really good friends that are veterans and then the rest who aren't. And I will hang out with my veteran friends first and foremost every single time. Why? Because I never get this text message from a veteran while I'm sitting at Starbucks at the agreed upon time that we were going to drink coffee. Like I never get that, just getting out of the shower, order me a latte. No, my veteran friends are there on time. And you know what? It's great to hang out with them for that reason because they're dependable. They come from a background of where if you don't do the things you say that you're gonna do, people could die. So they show up for coffee on time. And one of my favorite employees, the only employee I have that works for me as I've clawed my way to middle management in corporate America, the only one that I never want to strangle, veteran. Like just does what he says he's going to do, and that's all I really need. That's all. And if you are in a position to give someone a job, veteran every single time, veteran, not veteran, hire the veteran. They're going to do what the hell they say they're going to do 9 times out of 10. But can you talk a little bit about the experience you had and maybe the experience other people have getting out of the Army?
For me, the interesting thing is, transferring over to the civilian world. Obviously, being a musician, that was good. And having the reserves to go to, were like, a lot of guys, you don't just go from active duty military service to being a dirty, nasty civilian. You all of a sudden wind up, you go to the reserves, and so you're doing that 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer, and you're getting that little bit of military stuff, but you're also building back into civilian life. But any way you look at it, the military is getting better, and it's because there's veterans out there who are becoming activists and advocates for each other. The military is getting better about not making as many outlandish promises. And in a lot of things, it's very difficult because people understand things differently. People hear things differently. But I think the culture of veterans is more and more about, like it's always been, I don't need the government to do that much. They're supposed to, and they should, and we should hold them to it. But when it really gets down to it, brothers and sisters in arms are going to hold each other up. And that's why we have the greatest military in the world, and it's because these people we're going to take care of each other, and we're stepping up. We're doing better jobs. You're seeing more and more veterans who are willing to say, like, hey, I've got some PTSD issues, and it's okay. And, you know, other guys who I know who have some demons that they struggle with, and they're finding support in their own peers, and we're getting better at that. The VA, there's all kinds of things. The VA needs to get fixed, and the VA is full of people who want to help these people. There are some great doctors, nurses, professionals in there that want to help, and they're hamstrung by a lot of government red tape and whatnot, things that I don't understand. But when it gets down to it, the person, the veteran, the people who actually put on the uniform are going to go out there. They're going to continue to serve their country. They're going to continue to serve each other. And that's the experience that I hope that we see, and that I hope that, that people realize. Hold your government leaders accountable for what they said they were going to do to these people who've been willing at any given time to make the sacrifice. Hold those people accountable. But when it really gets down to it, just like what guys are fighting for, and you'll always hear that, I'm sure your World War II grandfather said the same thing that both mine did. We were fighting for God, country, family, mostly just fighting for each other so that we could make it back to dinner that night. Alive. And it plays out whether it's heavy combat or whether it's just being out on the road and going and talking to high school students at recruiting functions. We work together. We love each other. I wouldn't trade even the worst times that I had in the military. I wouldn't trade them for anything.
Well, that's really, really that's really heartening to hear. Now, let me ask you this. On Veterans Day, or any other day of the year, on Veterans Day, if someone wants to help super quick, what can they do? I mean, there's so many different organizations, but what would you think a veteran would appreciate the most?
One of my favorites, first off, is saying thank you to them when you see them. When you see the guys, especially the older guys, especially Vietnam-era guys, make sure and tell them thanks for their service. That's a huge thing. Also, donate to the USO. Very easy, great organization. There's so many great organizations, but the USO is a very simple one that does a lot of great work, and I've experienced a lot of love from those people. A lot of soldiers do.
Well, we'll end the show today on a Veterans Day by saying to everyone that has served and their families, thank you, thank you, thank you.
A lot of times you feel like it's cool to turn the other cheek and give people the benefit of the doubt even when they don't deserve it.